Part 1. The Painful Truth About Money. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a shocking truth. More than 70% of people who win the lottery go broke within 5 years. Imagine that. Millions in their hands. Gone. Back to poverty. Why? Because money without the right mindset disappears. And this is the painful truth about money. Why do poor people stay poor? Think about your own life. Have you ever waited for payday, received your salary, and within a week it was gone? Rent, food, bills, maybe a new phone, a dinner out, and then back to zero. You ask yourself, where did it all go? That cycle, earn, spend, survive, repeat, is the cycle that keeps millions of people trapped. I know this because I lived it. There was a time when I stood outside offices, desperate for a job, rejected over and over. At that time, all I could think about was survival. If I can just make enough to eat. If I can just pay the bills. And guess what? Every time I made a little more, I spent a little more. I was not growing. I was just running faster on the same treadmill. Poor people stay poor because survival thinking never allows growth. Part 2. The Power of Choices. Let me give you an example. 2 young men work in the same factory. They earn the same salary. One spends his evenings watching television, scrolling, spending money on small pleasures. The other spends 1 hour a day learning English, another hour reading about business, and instead of buying new clothes every month, he saves and invests. After 10 years, the first man is still working in the factory. The second, he owns his own small company. Same salary, same job. Different choices, different future. This is the secret. Poverty is not just about money. It is about habits. Take J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She was living on welfare, raising a child alone, rejected by 12 publishers. She could have said, "I am poor, I have no chance." But she kept writing. Her ideas became books. Her books became movies. Her movies became an empire. She turned words into billions. That is not luck. That is mindset. Part 4. The dangerous mindset poor people carry. I do not have enough, so let me spend what I have to feel good now. Let me buy things that look rich instead of investing in what makes me rich. Survival thinking eats the seed. Growth thinking plants it, waters it, and waits for the tree. Ladies and gentlemen, if you eat the seed, you will always stay hungry. Look at Oprah Winfrey, born into poverty, abused as a child, working in a grocery store at 14. By every measure, she should have remained poor. But she did not just survive. She grew. She learned to speak. She learned to connect. She turned pain into power. Today, she is not just rich. She is one of the most influential women in the world. Not because she had money at the start, but because she planted her seed and refused to eat it. Part 5. The Money Traps. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you the harshest truth about money. Poor people do not just stay poor because they don't earn enough. They stay poor because they fall into money traps. And these traps are everywhere. In your shopping malls, in your smartphones, in the ads you see every day. If you don't see them, you will spend your entire life working hard and still end up with nothing. Think about this. The moment most people get extra money, they don't invest it. They buy something new, A phone? A car? A bigger television? Do you know what's interesting? Poor people want to look rich. Rich people want to stay rich. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Meanwhile, someone earning $500 a month will buy a $1,000 phone. This is the consumer trap, and it's the first reason why poor people stay poor. Part 6. A story about debt. I once had a friend who worked very hard. The moment he got a raise, he took a loan to buy a new car. He was proud. He felt successful. But every month, half his salary went to the bank. He was not free. He was trapped in debt. That car did not make him rich. It made the bank rich. Ladies and gentlemen, never confuse looking rich with being rich. Part 7. The fear trap. Here is the second trap. Fear. Poor people are afraid to take risks, but they don't realize that doing nothing is the biggest risk of all. How many times have you heard someone say, "I don't want to start a business. It's too risky. I don't want to invest. I might lose money." And then they put their money in savings accounts, earning 2% interest while inflation eats 10%. They are not saving. They are slowly losing. When Jeff Bezos left his stable Wall Street job to start Amazon in his garage, everyone thought he was crazy. But he understood something poor people often don't. The biggest risk is not failing. The biggest risk is never trying. Today, Amazon is worth over $1 trillion. If he had played safe, he would have been comfortable, but never wealthy. Part 8. The procrastination trap. The third trap is procrastination. Poor people say, "One day I will start saving. One day I will invest. One day I will start a business." But one day never comes. Do you know what Albert Einstein called the eighth wonder of the world? Compound interest. The earlier you start, the bigger it grows. But if you keep waiting, you lose the only thing you can never get back: time. I made this mistake too. In my early days, I wasted years waiting for the perfect opportunity. I thought, when I have enough money, then I will invest. When I have more time, then I will learn. But that time never came. The truth is, there is no perfect time. You start with what you have, where you are, right now. Part 9. The environment trap. Let's talk about the last trap in this part. Environment. Poor people stay poor because they surround themselves with poor thinkers. If your 5 closest friends only talk about gossip, football, and parties, guess what? You will spend your life gossiping, watching football, and going to parties. But if your 5 closest friends talk about business, ideas, investments, and growth, you will rise. Show me your friends, and I will show you your future. When Elon Musk was young, he was not surrounded by comfort. He was surrounded by dreamers, engineers, and problem solvers. That environment shaped him. That environment pushed him. That is why he builds rockets, while others are still arguing about gas prices. Part 10. Breaking free from the traps. Ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with this. The poor stay poor because they fall into traps: consumption, fear, procrastination, and environment. These traps steal your future quietly while you think you are just living life. But life is not about just living. Life is about growing. And until you break these traps, money will always control you instead of you controlling money. Part 11. The blame game. One of the habits that keeps people poor is blaming others. Poor people love to say, "It's not my fault. The system is against me. My boss doesn't pay me enough. My parents didn't give me a good education." Yes, life is unfair. That is true. But blaming others will never put food on your table. Blaming others will never pay your bills. Blaming others will never build your future. I will tell you this. The richest people in the world were not born with perfect circumstances. Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty, abused as a child, and working in a grocery store at 14. But she did not just survive. She grew. She learned to speak. She learned to connect.